All right. We got more 90s action, everybody, and we've got our great cast of 90s nerds here, Al and Ben from Omug Comics, the creators and directors of Lenny Vernon, right? I guess who's the creator and who's the director?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, officially, Al created Lenny Vernon. It came from
Yeah.
his brain soup. So
his brain soup.
Yeah.
What kind of flavor of soup is your brain, Al?
Oh, it's a gazpacho.
It's a gazpacho.
Yeah.
See, I was thinking like New England clam chowder.
No, there's no seafood.
No seafood. So
chilled tomato.
There we go. Well, today we're going to do another slice of 90s comics, and we picked limited series because there was a lot of limited series. I don't know if that's how you say it, but
yes,
a lot. Yeah, we need Kim here. A lot of limited
as
series
the editor
during the 90s.
I say that's correct.
Oh, okay, yeah. Ben is the official grammarian of the podcast.
That's right.
So limited series, we picked two of our favorites from the 90s. And so we're going to discuss those. But first, we like to test Al's brain, or as Ben put, his soup brain. Al's soup brain, gazpacho. Of who's the artist. Yeah. So Al, are you ready to guess the artist? We'll give you a cover.
Listen, the last time they were softballs. All right.
Okay.
I'm genuinely nervous.
Well, I don't know. I kind of, well, we'll see. I mean, I didn't know some of these, but I'm not the expert like you are, so you'll probably get these. But so we'll get you going here. All right. So first one, I'll give you the cover, and then you can name the artist here. As soon as there we go.
Oh, that's Mark Bagley.
Yeah, I just realized the name is down in the corner. That was my
bad.
But
it was Peter Parker's face that tipped me off. And in the 90s, Mark Bagley was on The Amazing Spider-Man for a long time. He took over directly after Eric Larson.
Oh, okay. Well, after he left for Image.
Yeah, when Eric Larson went off to do Image, that's when Bagley stepped in, and yeah, he was good.
Did it? Yeah, great artist. What are some of his defining earmarks, I guess?
The face and his musculature.
Okay.
The way he does the human faces, and then just the way he constructs Spidey.
He's got some amazing calves there, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Is that your calves after leg week, Ben? Or leg day? I don't know if he can hear me.
Like Ben can hear us. I think those are just Ben's calves every day.
Every day. Oh, that's Ben's calves every day. Okay. All right. Next one. So Mark Bagley. Here we go. Another Spider-Man.
That looks like John Romita Jr.
I believe so. Yep.
Whew. Off to a good start.
So he's a little more grainy, I guess, or at least in this one.
Yeah, John
more rough.
Yeah, he's more blocky.
Yeah,
his figures tend to be a little bit more stiff and squared off. Yeah,
he draws feet.
He does draw feet. Yeah.
Yes. All right, next one. I only did 3.
Okay. Oh man, you went DC on me. And you blocked out the name, man.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a tough one, but I'm gonna guess Bolland. Brian Bolland.
Is
Jim Paro. Damn it.
Yeah. You've mentioned him before, so he's done a lot of stuff, I think. So
yeah, he was big.
A lot of Batman, I think.
Yeah,
DC guy.
I didn't really do a lot of DC stuff myself though, so I wasn't really studying with DC artists.
That was not the softball. So there we go. But you got 2 out of 3. So excellent. Excellent. Yeah, definitely. Well, good job, Al.
Thanks.
We'll give you 8,000 covert nerd coins. So spend them where you want.
15,000 more, and I can get a pencil from the gift shop there.
Yeah, we'll treat it like the arcade gift shops.
Right.
Right? You have a million tickets, and they give you like a pencil top eraser.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. I'm not guaranteeing the value of covert nerd coins. They're like Bitcoins, it's all over the place. It just
Right.
changes.
But they're still more valuable than Argentinian currency.
Yeah.
Is it though? Is it?
Is it? Is it?
It is in Argentina.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. All right. So we'll start with you, Al. You want to go with one of your first picks?
Yeah. So I went with Kingdom Come.
Okay.
This one here. And I think so confession, I didn't actually read this in the 90s. I knew of it. I'd heard of it, and I'd always wanted to snag it. I just never got my hands on it. I didn't come across actually reading this and getting this until about like 10 years ago. Actually, I went to a local drink and draw event, and I won a contest and won this.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I drew like a Scooby-Doo parody, and they offered me this prize. Anyway, this was one of those things, like I said, in the 90s, you always knew about it. And especially as an artist, I always, Alex Ross was everywhere. And you had to acknowledge Alex Ross because, I was debating too about whether or not to do the Marvels run that he did. But this one was always so iconic just because you had the gray-haired Superman with the, the black logo. And there's a lot of great visuals that came out of this. And like, this visual here, this cover, if I can get the light just right. It's it's good stuff. And I remember reading this when I did get it, and I was impressed by the story. I enjoyed it. It was a fun read. If you, press me now, I got nothing. It wasn't memorable in that regard, but I can remember, and talk about all the different visuals and, the great things that Alex Ross did throughout. But it was a bit dystopian. Yeah. Superman had enough, and they did do fun things with Captain Marvel.
Yes, he was being manipulated by Lex Luthor.
Yes.
Yep. And
he was no longer. He was just always Captain Marvel. They thought, or it was Billy Batson had grown up, and
it takes place, like 20 years in the future or 30 years in the future, something like that.
Yeah.
But the cover with the reflection in the pool, or in the table or whatever, that's pretty awesome. I kind of forgot about that.
Yeah. Well, and they
Shazam.
did because they leaned into the Shazam versus Superman because, that was one of the things that caused problems early on back in the 30s because they were accusing, Shazam and Superman were being compared and they were accusing one of ripping off the other and whatnot. And so
that was then DC just bought him.
Yeah. And then, it was nice to see them lean into it, that it was just basically, Superman with a child's mind. And just have the two square off against each other. So that was fun. But yeah, like I said, I don't really remember much of the story. It was the art that got me hooked. And
that is some great art.
Yeah.
It almost looks like watercoloring. Like as
opposed to it's all painted. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all painted. That's kind of Alex Ross's style.
Mm-hmm.
Is he just does paints essentially. But you have all the future heroes and what's left of them, and Batman's kind of semi-retired. The heroes have kind of disappeared. I think they locked all the villains in Kansas in some big prison, I think was the deal.
Right.
But the Spectre makes a visit. It's a fun. Yeah, I would agree. The art overshadows the story, in my opinion. Mark Waid wrote it, I believe.
Yep.
So it's excellent. I would say I too didn't discover this until the late or early 2000s. I think I picked up a trade paperback of it. I think that's how it came out anyway, wasn't it?
No, it was a issue run.
Was it okay. I thought it was just a full
but collection. It was one of those. It was one of those prestige books that DC did at the time. So if you're going into your local comic shop to pick up, your monthly Batman and Spider-Man, this was going to cost probably, 50 cents more, and was a more limited run.
But yeah, it's a fun book. I'd still recommend it today to anybody.
Oh, absolutely.
It's Alex Ross. I mean, you can't go wrong. It's just,
right.
So as detailed as he is, guys or artists struggle drawing, I guess, air quotes, the regular way, but how does he make deadlines with how detailed and how intricate his art is? I wonder.
With Alex Ross, he's not doing a monthly book. He's not.
That's
They're not going
true.
to sign him on to say for the next 2 years you're going to be the Batman artist. They sign him on in today in May of 2022, and they say, okay, in 2024 is when the first issue is going to hit the stands of 4, and by then he's got most of them done.
Okay,
he gets. Yeah, he's not. They're gonna plot it out originally and say this is going to be a 4-issue. Like this is a 4-issue book. So here's your year time frame to get it done. That's the contract. That's what he does.
Because he's so good, he can get away with I make the deal, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now maybe, of course, he's always drawn like this, but maybe that's just he was so good early on, he could kind of dictate.
Yeah. Well, and you're going to negotiate with the editors, and they have to keep it reasonable. So he's going to tell the editors, look, here's how long it's going to take me to do a page, let alone a book. So if you want it in this style, we can do it, but here's the parameters.
And his books are always a premium price, so that's probably kind of the offset that they do is like, look, this guy's art is way better than anybody else's. We're going to slap, this was normally $3.95. We're going to charge $4.95, $5.95 for this issue.
And they've got so many other traditional books that they're selling on the shelves to subsidize the extra cost they're putting into this. So
yeah. He's always been excellent at just the painting style. It's so unique. I don't know if there's anybody else out there that draws like this, do they?
There's a couple that
okay.
There's certainly a handful that have done the painting. They don't usually do full books. I think they, like Joe Juiceco may have done tried a full book like this, but not like Alex Ross ever did.
So they'll just do covers typically.
They do, covers and pinups.
Yeah. He was probably one of the first, wasn't he, to do this? Well, no. Was it Boris Viejo or whatever his name was? He kind of drew this stuff.
Yeah. There were a handful, and you got the Hildebrandt brothers. That's a great image there. There's been quite a few painters over the years, but Alex Ross was better at marketing, and he bounced back and forth and did because he would do the full books, like with Marvels. It was also a 4-issue run. I think this was after Marvels.
Yeah, this would have been after Marvels. Yep. So like Marvels was mid 90s, and this was late 90s, I think.
Yes. Yeah.
Just a excellent art and a decent story. I mean,
it was fun.
Not the best story out there in the world, but it's still very good. Very, very good.
I highly recommend it. I mean, because even if you're reading along and you get lost or you get bored with the story, you can still just flip through and just take in all the amazing visuals.
Yeah. And they stick with some of the iconic DC characters. So even if you're semi-new, you may not recognize all of them, but you're going to recognize your Superman, your Batman, your Wonder Woman, Flash, Green Lantern, kind of your staple, your A-team, so to speak.
Yeah.
So even if you're a mild DC fan, you'll still recognize, Lex Luthor as the villain, blah, blah, blah.
And this was definitely 90s, because they got the art, the art was huge. There was a huge emphasis on the art then, but it was also dark and dystopian.
Yes. Not your normal. DC tended to be more positive, I guess, for lack of a better word, but this is very dark.
Yeah. Superman was bright and hope and
Yes. Yeah. Hope and future. They have, I kind of forgot about this. They have this whole genealogy in here because we go in the future. So you're seeing some of the kids of the heroes and kids of the villains. Oh, wow. I kind of forgot about this. They really dug deep into this. Blood descendant, evolution of the same person. Oh, wow. Huh.
I always liked when they did stuff like that in the books. Just, it's completely unnecessary, but just for fun, just to, when you got to see that stuff like, oh, this person was actually this person's kid or whatever.
Yeah,
I've always liked when they give that little extra tidbit of info like that, like the family trees or whatever.
Well, and it's nice when they put them in something like this that, you know, more people are going to get their hands on, as opposed to having to go out and get one of those encyclopedias.
Yeah.
You know, Marvel would always put out like the guide to the Marvel universe. Like, I didn't want to buy that. It was like $10-15. I could buy a lot more comics. Like, I really don't want to. Yeah.
I've got like 3 of them.
You have them?
Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm not going to buy that. Ben's like, I bought it.
Yeah.
That's part of the Ben Crane investment opportunities.
That's right. That's right. We should just change this string of episodes to, you know, Ben Crane's retirement plan.
Yeah.
As opposed to 90s comics.
Yeah. We don't want to give away the secret. Right?
Now listen, when you're 74 and you're still working, you might think, I don't know if Ben's done it, but you just got to stick with it.
It's a long
stick with it.
It's a long game.
Trust
every
the
3 or 4 decades it goes up by 50 cents, so you'll be good to go.
Yeah, by the time you're 147, you'll understand.
Yeah. It'll all pay off.
The payoff will be here. Yeah.
If you just ignore your initial investment, it looks like you're making money.
Right.
Oh man. Yeah, you read this too, didn't you, Ben?
You know, I don't think I've ever fully read it. I think it's one of those that like I've maybe picked up an issue here or there, or just kind of like glanced through it, and kind of the same thing like Al said, just kind of like flipped through it and went, "Wow, this is really cool. This looks really awesome," but never actually read the word bubbles.
Bought it. Yeah, yeah. You can get away with it in this because the art he does such a good job with the art telling the story. You can kind of just look at the frames and be just fine. Oh, they have this keys to the so character annotations and notes. So they have pages and pan. I don't remember. Of course, this is the 20th anniversary edition I have pulled up, so it's a little different. And they might have added some more in this.
They added a bunch of extra stuff in there.
Yeah, ancillary stuff.
When they want you to buy it for the 3rd or 4th time, they try to get you a little bit more stuff in there.
Yep, right? You're exactly right. This is a marketing thing. We'll pull in some extra art. These little keys.
It's the Blade Runner of comic books. You're like, oh, we added 3 pages, so you're going to want to buy it again.
Again, yes. This is
we
interesting.
Added 4 panels, so
Keystone City in the background. Oh, okay. So yeah, you can go back and look at all the little Easter eggs that they put in there, and they explain what they are. Huh. Okay, that's kind of cool. All right. Well, definitely recommend this to anybody. It's worth picking up the trade and checking it out for sure.
Yeah.
So, all right, Ben, what do you got for us?
All right. So step 5 of the Ben Crane retirement plan is the Sabretooth Death Hunt limited series released in 1993. It was just a 4-book run of just this, you know, quick story of Sabretooth who gets kidnapped. He gets kidnapped by can't remember the guy's name. I literally just read this morning and I can't remember the guy's name.
Was it Craven the Hunter? Was it?
No, not even. It was so he gets kidnapped by these guys. He gets sold out by his assistant. He gets kidnapped and they hire him because he's an assassin. They kidnap him and hire him, quote unquote, hire him to kill Mystique. And to make sure he does it, they implant in true 90s fashion, a hyperthermite bomb in his chest. So he has 48 hours to complete his mission, and then the bomb's going to go off. So, you know, it's a race against the clock. He's got to hunt down Mystique. But in doing so, he finds out that, spoiler alert, him and Mystique have a past together, but since she's a shapeshifter, she was obviously in a different form. And even bigger spoiler alert, the guy who hired him is their son.
Ooh.
Oh.
And he's upset at them because they abandoned him. Well, Mystique did. Sabretooth had run off already by the time the kid was born, and Mystique abandoned him because she wanted to continue being a Cold War spy. And so he's not happy that he got abandoned. So he's not a mutant, so he hates mutants too because mutants abandoned him, and he's not one of them. So his solution is get his dad to kill his mom and then blow up his dad with a thermite bomb.
That's logical.
It does not work. Sabretooth, of course, wins because in this one, oddly enough, he's the hero.
Sure.
But this was, I remember buying this again. It hook, line, and sinker. I swear to God, even to this day, if you tell me it's a limited series, I'm probably going to buy it, thinking that it's going to be worth money.
Right.
So,
well,
I was not a huge Sabretooth fan. I mean, I knew who he was and I thought he was a cool character, but it's not like I collected his books or knew really much about him other than him and Wolverine were connected. But hey, this was a limited edition 4-run series, so it was going to be worth money in the future. So I had to pick it up. Another fun fact, as I was flipping through my copies here, of the 4 originals here, there's one of them that has, it just reminded me, on the back, it has the stamp of the comic shop that I had to buy number 2 from, Time Warp Comics, because the original comic shop that I got it at, I had him put it in my brother's hold box for me, and he shared that hold box with a friend of his, and when issue 2 came out, his friend went, I don't remember putting this on hold. I don't have number 1, but this must be mine. And he grabbed number 2. And so I got number 1, never got number 2. Then I got 3 and 4. And so then later on, when I was at this other comic shop that was in my hometown, they had number 2. So I picked it up from there. So I always remember that I had a 4-run series for like a year that I only had 3 of them. Luckily it was in the middle, so it wasn't like I missed the ending. I knew what happened, and so it was pretty fun. This was written by Larry Hama and the Mark Teixeira. Did I get that one right?
Teixeira, yep.
Yes, he did the art.
Yeah,
it's as I read it this morning, I mean, it's not a bad story. It's a fun, just from A to B kind of chase, race against time type story, but they did a lot. Larry Hama did a lot of like Sabretooth just explaining to you what's happening, like as it's happening. So the story moves very quickly. Yeah. And so it's almost like when you get to the end of it, you're like, what was the point of that whole story? So, and the fact that it does. And the fact that Sabretooth doesn't even like, because it's his son, doesn't even kill the guy at the end that he vowed to kill because he put this bomb in his chest. He's just like, oh, catch you later. Just, don't cross me again. It's like, really, dude? I mean, I get it. It's your son, but he just put a bomb in your chest and tried to convince you to kill your wife.
And your Sabretooth.
And your Sabretooth.
Be the bad guy.
Which,
yeah.
In 90s fashion, again, I forgot, they super enhanced him. So, like, he's already got all of his powers, but the guys kidnap him and, like, soup him up because they really want him to kill Mystique. And he's still just like, oh, whatever.
And it's convenient for the story.
Yeah,
it works for the story.
But it came complete with the
the die shows
cut.
The special cover. Yeah,
the die cut cover.
Nice.
So inside of there is him growling at you.
Yeah,
and that was issue 1, and they must have spent all their money on covers on issue 1 because they didn't do anything cool for the rest of them.
Well, you'll be happy to know, Ben, this one was $2.95 when you bought it, and it's all the way up to $5.
Look at that.
That's almost doubling your money.
Look at that. From 93 to 2022. Right. So
29 years.
Almost doubled.
So when I'm 98, this will have doubled in price if the trajectory completes. So
that's right.
I got to find the guy. Tribune. That's what he calls himself. The Tribune.
Okay. The baddie.
Dun, dun, dun.
Tribune.
So
look at this on this cover here, Ben, in the lower right-hand corner. We'll take your skull and carve it into a bedpan! !
Yeah. Just in case you were unsure what the bad guys were gonna do to Sabretooth.
Huh.
Bedpan.
Bedpan.
That's what I always want. Just
not like a
hanging
cup
around.
or an ashtray or a bedpan.
Yeah, you have indoor plumbing. An ashtray would be more useful,
right?
I know.
So
I happen to see that.
Or you use it like as the bowl that you put your keys in next to the front door.
Yeah,
right. A candy dish.
I'd rather have that than a bedpan.
Right.
Sabretooth skull candy dish.
Yeah.
It's where you keep all your Werthers.
Yeah. Yeah. Your Werther's caramels.
Yeah, there you go. Sabretooth is old enough to be carrying Werthers around.
Yes.
The one thing that I liked about this, and what reminded me when I read it, what reminded me why I didn't like, among other things, why I didn't like the portrayal of Sabretooth in the very first X-Men movie, is because he's like a world-class top assassin, super smart. Yes, he's got his feral animal instincts about him, but he's super smart, and he's an assassin. At one point, he's like a head of an assassin guild, and then in the movie, they reduce him to just like grunting and growling and telling Halle Berry to scream. It's like,
moron.
Yeah, so it's like, I get it. He's a big brute, but he's a smart big brute. So, like I said, as I read through this, I'm like, oh yeah, that's why I really didn't like Sabretooth in that first X-Men movie. I mean, the whole movie is kind of garbage as it is now, but that I remember that specifically when they introduced Sabretooth, I was like, cool. And then I saw him in the movie. I'm like, not cool, man. What did you do?
Yeah,
that's not.
He has like
I don't like that.
He has like no lines. I don't know that he says one word, does he?
He at one point and he tells Storm, "You owe me a scream" or something like that. Because when they first meet up in the train station, he says "scream," but she manages to get away. And then at the end, when they're fighting, he says, "You owe me a scream," and then she like hits him with a lightning bolt or makes it rain on him or something.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it was too reductive because you're right. In the comics, he was a good foil to Wolverine because he was just as smart. And at one point, they'd had a history together of being in the military and being in like mercenaries together.
Right, but they're both part of Weapon X.
Yeah, they both had the feral side, but he was much larger and knew all of Wolverine's tricks because he wasn't reduced to a growling moron.
Right, and the thing is like he originally Chris Claremont, when he created Sabretooth, he originally his plan was to have him actually eventually turn out to be Sabretooth's dad. But then writers later on down the road kind of changed and contradicted that, so it never fully came about, which when asked, Claremont's is kind of like, yeah, whatever, that's cool as long as they have their history. But that's kind of one of the reasons like they always fight each other. Like anytime they're near each other, they just decide to fight.
Yeah.
And for a while there, like Sabretooth would constantly on Wolverine's birthday would hunt him down and just like beat the crap out of him just to like prove to him like, hey, I can find you and hurt you if I want to, and then just leave. Wouldn't kill him.
That's
just like,
that's his annual tradition.
Yeah. Like no matter where Wolverine is, Sabretooth just finds him on his birthday and just beats the crap out of him, like almost killing him, and then just like, all right, see you next year, pal. Kind of like Wile E. Coyote and the Sheepdog.
Yeah, he's like 1,000 miles away doing something else. He's like, oh man, listen, tomorrow's the 12th. I got to bounce. I got a thing.
Right. He's scrolling Facebook. He's like, oh, it's Wolverine's birthday today. Damn,
I
gotta go find him.
I gotta hop on a plane. I go find that guy. So what'd you get for your birthday? I got my butt kicked.
That's right. I got stalked.
I got stalked and almost killed by a guy who might be my dad, but he's not really. So whatever. Right.
So that
Tuesday.
I didn't know the connection with Sabretooth and Mystique was that they were married or couple or whatever.
Yeah, so in this series, they've done it a couple other times, but in this series, they were both part of like an elite team, covert spies during the Cold War, and she is taken the shape of someone else, obviously, and he goes to extract her, and then as they're hanging out waiting to get out of West Germany, they hook up and whatever, and then she disappears and ends up, well, he thinks she died, and then through all this they find each other again, and he's like, and she reveals what happened, and then it just ends. She says Martha and they're friends again.
It's just Martha. Oh, funny. Isn't Nightcrawler her kid or something like that? I'm not up on the early X-Men lore.
Yeah, Nightcrawler is her son. I don't remember who the dad was though.
That's why I was like, well, maybe that's Nightcrawler's dad is Sabretooth, but maybe not.
It was Gene from accounting.
Gene from accounting. Oh, that's funny. All
But
right.
this was a fun book. Like I said, I just reread it this morning, and other than like I said, the dialogue just like explaining to you what's going on, which it's like, if I just looked at the pictures, I would know what's going on. I don't need Wolverine to be like, I'm gonna fight you guys now and tear you to pieces, and then the next panel he's tearing them to pieces. It's like, I didn't need that, but okay.
I didn't need that. Yeah. That's a little bit of a weak writing on the writer's part, I guess, or the writer and the artist maybe not clicking. So I suppose that can happen.
Right.
Yeah. Oh,
but
Jesse
overall,
said,
it was still a fun
don't
book.
Say that name, Jesse. Why did you say that name?
So overall, it was a fun book. It's and the artwork. The artwork is good, and it's just, it was just fun to read, and just some of the cool action sequences, and it was pure 90s with the cutout cover and the limited edition, and like I said, it hit all of the right marks for me to invest in my retirement plan here.
Exactly. Now it looks good. All right.
What?
Go to the next one here. I picked Aliens versus Predator.
Ooh.
By Dark Horse Comics.
I forgot about this one.
Yeah, this is a fun book. I picked it up shortly after it came out, and when Image hadn't started yet. So like, there's this whole independent universe that's not Marvel or not DC, and allows blood and swearing and just totally different stories. So Dark Horse picked up the IP for Aliens and Predator and came up with this idea to put them together. And that's where the whole Aliens versus Predator concept came up back in 88 or 89. I can't remember exactly when it came out.
It's a logical pairing.
Yeah.
Right.
it makes sense. But it was something that the movie, if you remember, Predator 2 came up with that, or put this idea in there as well.
They had the skull,
skull on the background. Let's see if I can find it here.
Yep, the xenomorph skull in the background.
Xenomorph skull on his trophy case. So that's where they copied that. I thought Dark Horse copied the movie, but it was the other way around. The movie copied the comic book because it came out before the movie came out. So I guess it was in a boardroom, typical artist meeting, writers meeting, coming up with stuff. That's where this concept came up. Yeah. And so I thought it was kind of a cool idea. But yeah, Dark Horse had this franchise for 30 years. Being a newer independent company, they needed something to print. They're not like Marvel, where they've got 40 years of archives they can go back to and come up with new stories and new characters, things like that. And so they picked this one up and ran with it for about 30 years. This one came out in, June of 1990. Phil Norwood did the pencils, and Randy Stradley did the writing. He did a lot of Predator and Star Wars comics for Dark Horse as well. Star Wars was another staple for Dark Horse there for a lot of years.
And they had RoboCop too. I think they even did
RoboCop, Terminator.
Yeah,
Terminator was another one. I had some of the Terminator comics as well. I mean,
Dark Horse had a lot of like well-known IPs, but not necessarily comic IPs.
Right.
Yes. So they hit the ground running with this one, because they ran Aliens versus Predator for years and years and years. But the story on this one was the aliens, or the colonists, were on this planet. They were raising these cattle-like creatures the planet was called Ryushi, and the animal called Rhinthin, were basically cattle. And the colonists didn't know that Ryushi is a hunting planet for the predators. So every year, or every few years, they would come to the planet, and the young predators had to go through their rite of passage and kill the aliens. Well, they didn't know that the colonists were there, and the alien infected all of the cattle, and the alien gave them a queen egg, so they were able to make another colony. And of course, chaos ensues because the colonists are caught between the fight between the aliens and predators. And it's a fun story, especially at the time for me. I was like, what a great idea. put these two together. I mean, who doesn't like, especially when you're young, a teenage kid likes the Aliens and Predator concept, and
right,
blood and gore and just all that goes together. Very, very well drawn. Very Dark Horse always, at least to me, always seemed to have this similar art style, kind of, I don't know, maybe dystopian, or I don't know what you want to call it, but they all seem to have. There's a Give Me Liberty was another one written by Frank Miller, and his art is similar to this, but it seems to be always a little gritty and very colorful. This one is very colorful, but tells a fun story. Now, I love the Aliens versus Predator concept, but I don't know. Now this is just my opinion. Once you've read one of these, you've kind of got the concept for the rest of them.
Right.
Well, wasn't it this series though? Like they started doing things, and it might have been a different one, but I thought it was this one that like they started doing things where the aliens would like take on the characteristics of like whatever animal or being that the face hugger attached it to. So like, if it attached itself to like a rhinoceros, when the alien came out, it would have like rhino type armor and stuff like that. So I think that's kind of one of the ways they tried to keep it different, was like it's not just the same xenomorph. Like this one it's like a cheetah, and this one's like a grizzly bear, and it's like, oh, okay.
That came out in the Alien 3 movie, that concept. So this doesn't have that. But you're right. Later on, that was a way to kind of add some different elements to it. But still, I loved this one, especially at the time. But the idea of the long game for this, in my opinion, I got several of them. I collected the Predator comics too. But again, it's kind of the same thing over and over again. But still, this one, at least for the first, very good art, very good story, especially for the time. Of course, they have to eventually, destroy the colony. The hero, the lady, I forgot her name, Nagashi or something is her name. Let me see if I can find her name. Michiko. Michiko is the leader of the colony. She befriends one of the Predators and becomes one of their clan because she helps one of the Predator leaders. And so she gets accepted by the Predators. And I think she appears later in some other Predator comics as well. But they have the map of the colony. That was kind of a cool thing to put in the back to kind of give you an idea of what's what and where's everything at. And
one thing I'm curious about is, so in the Stanley always had the philosophy of, if you're going to have Hulk fight Thor, you can't have a winner. Because if Hulk wins, you're just going to alienate the Thor fans, and vice versa. It always has to end in a draw. So you can showcase both of their powers and abilities, but you can't have a winner so as not to alienate a fan and to keep everybody guessing for next time. So do they do that? Do they follow that rule in this, or is it no? Predator clearly wins. He's just smoked the aliens. Done.
So at the end, so all of the aliens on the planet are dead. And only one, all of the Predators, because the leader of the Predator clan dies in the very end. So they wipe them all out at the end. But we know, what's that?
So the humans win.
The humans win. Yeah, there's only one.
It's
Machiko.
It's kind of a draw in that they both lose.
That's it.
Yeah, but we all know that there's a planet full of Predators, and aliens are everywhere. So. In this battle, you can kill them all, and you're still going to have them.
Right. Well, it's kind of like at the end of the Alien vs. Predator movie, that was okay at best. The Predators win, quote unquote. They kill all the aliens off, but at the very end, there's a chest burster that comes out of one of the dead Predators. So you're like, it's a tie.
It's kind of like the end of Freddy versus Jason,
where Jason's carrying the head.
Yeah,
and he like winks at you or whatever.
Right. It's like, no. Jason didn't win.
Right. So they always kind of
it's a fun
even out.
It's a fun story, and I think it's worth a read, especially if you like the Alien versus Predator, Alien or Predator franchise. Yeah, they ran with it for a long time. 25 different Alien versus Predator stories and collections. So it was very well I guess, received if they're doing it that
I'm
much.
curious what the numbers are. Like, what are the stats, right? Like, humans
Yeah.
23, predators 2, aliens 1. Like,
Yeah. Who
In
wins?
30 years, the Predators are 25-0-0.
yeah.
Yes.
The aliens are the
Yes.
Washington Generals of this whole thing.
Excuse me, I guess I was wrong. Machiko does survive, and then a few of the colonists get on a ship and go to one of the space stations in space. So
But they had an alien on that ship, though. They took an alien with them, right?
Probably. No, I don't. As far as I know, they didn't. But so kind of the concept, I forgot to mention that the alien or predators purposely put the aliens on a planet, just the eggs. But when they get the eggs from the queen put in a queen egg. So they took the queen egg in this case to found one of the cattle, and they put all the cattle in this big pen, and so they were able to make a colony from that one. So alien kind of outsmarted them.
It's smart though, right? For the predators. I mean, it's sporting.
Yeah.
There's no point in going to the planet and just hunting the livestock. It's like, where's the fun in that? That's harvesting. You gotta make it fun.
Well,
Yes,
but at the same
exactly.
time, if you, it's kind of like stock in the lake though too. If you put the prey there, it's not really hunting now, is it?
Yeah.
Listen, they'll do that with pheasants, right? So in this neck of the woods, they'll
Exactly.
take a farm and they'll get the pheasants there, and then the guys will pay money to come in. I mean, the pheasants are still doing what pheasants do. There's still some sport to it.
Is it sporting that when in 1,000 square feet you got like 100 pheasants? Like, that's not really sporting.
Right, like you're saying this is the equivalent of putting the pile of corn at the base of your deer stand.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Like, well, I'm out in the wild. I'm hunting. Oh, look, a deer just happens to be here. Yeah. So it's...
Look at that. How'd that happen? Yeah. So the plan was not to have as many aliens. They were only planning on 50 aliens, and then it turned into thousands, and so they got overrun, and so the humans and the predators had to team up to take out the aliens.
Population control, just like the deer.
Yes, exactly.
Right. Just every now and then you just got to go out there and wipe them out.
Yeah, the guy who
wrote all the grass. And
the guy who wrote this grew up in South Dakota. He heard this story played out every year.
He was a pheasant hunter.
That's right.
he
but that's
some game in parks in the Midwest.
Now, this was a fun cover on issue 4. It was more of a painted cover. I don't remember who did this one.
See, I always remember when I think Alien vs. Predator, I always think of this cover. This, for some reason, always has stuck out in my head.
I assume cover David Dorman. There we go.
Well, that cover is a great concept too, because you got the human and the predator teamed up together and cornered
with the alien tails,
the xenomorph tails coming in.
Yeah.
It's a great concept.
And I like how they kept the font for the alien title and the predator title and just put them together.
Sure.
That worked really well, in my opinion. So people kind of recognize that font and that style. So,
and it helps tell you that's the real deal. It's not just going to be some knockoff, but this is what you know from the movies.
Yeah, there you go.
Right. Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah. Here's characters that you're familiar with and you know about. So, which helps because then they don't have to do a whole lot of backstory. You know who and what the predator is. You know who and what the aliens are. So you don't need to do a lot of backstory of this is what this race does. It's like, no, I know because I watched the movie. I watched Arnold fight him. I know.
You're right. You're exactly right, Ben, because they give no background on either of these characters. They just assume you know what's going on.
Well, and I mean, what's there to know? One's a predator, one's an alien. They're both technically aliens, but that
Well, but E.T.'s an alien too, so I mean,
you're right. But it's not insulting the audience though.
Right? They're not showing the parents get killed in the alley again.
Again, yes, yes.
Don't need to see somebody in concrete.
Right. Somebody was actually when the Batman movie came out, I saw somebody online was complaining because they didn't explain Batman's origin, and everybody's like, "Look, if you don't know Batman's origin by now, we're not gonna.
This isn't the movie
you don't
for
need
you.
to tell us."
Yeah.
This isn't Batman. This isn't 1989, where it was a little more obscure. We've seen Peter Parker get bit by the spider. We've seen Batman's parents get shot. We don't need to see it again.
I think in literally every Batman movie since '89, it has been shown or referenced in some form or fashion.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Even like in Batman Returns, which was the sequel to the '89 Batman, I think they still somehow referenced it. So it's like,
and Batman v Superman, it was in there.
They did. Yeah, you're right.
Batman v Superman at the Alamo, and before the movie, they'll show 30 minutes of just backstory and just related videos and vignettes and stuff. And there was a little thing that they pulled off of YouTube where it was a guy lamenting about every Batman movie we have to see Thomas and Martha go down. And they showed like every animated, live action, everything, every instance of Thomas and Martha going down. And then the movie starts, and the very first thing in the movie is Crime Alley. And you're like, come on.
That's awesome.
We don't need that. So yeah, in this case, they did it right. They didn't give any background on anything. They just, it was 1990. You had at least 2 Alien, maybe 3. I can't remember when Alien Resurrection came out, but
Alien Resurrection had late 90s.
Yeah, so never mind. Yeah, so they'd only had 2 Alien movies at this point, and then the Predator movie. But again, you're not going to buy this if you don't know one or the other or both. Anyway.
Well, and this is like you said before. This is right up every 12-year-old's alley, man. Like we had all seen. We'd all seen Alien. You go in the comic shop, you seeing this, and it's right in your wheelhouse.
Yeah, you're picking this up.
Yeah.
Dark Horse was great with some of these IPs. I liked them. I thought this was a great idea. So anyway, that's all I have to say about Aliens versus Predator. What do you got for us, Al, for your second pick?
For my second, it's Deadpool, The Circle Chase. This was when this was also 93. You can tell from the cover design because it's the same design style as the Sabretooth one. No, this one wasn't die cut. It did have the original though. Did have like the letters Deadpool were raised up, so they did put it was a heavier cardstock, but you got the banner down the side. Anyway, this was Deadpool's like breakout solo story. Before this, he had been in New Mutants and X-Force, and they realized that they had something on their hands here. And so this story, and this was also the breakout of Joe Madureira, the artist. But this one, The Circle Chase, it's 4 issues. It's fun. It's, rock'em sock'em action. You got Deadpool, you got Black Tom, it's multiple parties all going after the same thing, whatever the MacGuffin was. I don't remember. Because again, I was more into this for the art. But you do get Juggernaut, you get Black Tom Cassidy, you get some great characters, and the art is amazing. Because like I said, this was Marvel. They had this young artist and decided, well, let's give him a shot. And at the same time, we're giving Deadpool a shot, and they both broke out to be huge. Because this is when, like in New Mutants and X-Force, when Deadpool debuted, he was introduced as the Merc with a Mouth, and he was a smart aleck. Mm-hmm. But it was in this where they really started to develop more of his voice, so to speak, and get into like the zanier, wackier Deadpool. And really, it was a good breakout series for the character. They had it was a lot of fun. Like I said,
so this is when he became more of the Deadpool we know in the movies.
Yeah, more of the modern Deadpool. This wasn't it wasn't his final form. After this, I think it was it was Kelly was the writer. Anyway, they really steered down the comedy path after this, but this was kind of the bridge between where they kind of first got started with that notion, leaning into it a bit more.
Nice. Yeah. So Fabian Nizian helped with this one too. It looks like
it's classic 90s, man. Cause you get, bombastic action, the Marvel, leaned heavy in the art in 90. This was 93. So, this was when Image was taken off and they were competing with Image. So they wanted bombastic, big, bright, flashy art. And Jesse, yeah, they went a little too far with the fourth wall break and multiple boxes. Yeah.
Yeah, that is. Yeah. So this character here on the page I'm on, this guy here looks just like a character in Image called Troll. Almost, I wonder Image had to have copied this.
I would listen if you're debating on whether or not Rob Liefeld ripped off a Marvel character, you always put money on that.
Yeah, because he looks identical to the Troll character in Image, and this is, well, I guess, yeah, Liefeld created Deadpool, so this, I don't know who this character is, but Nico, must be his character name.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I wouldn't be surprised if he came from New Mutants. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, I don't recognize that name at all, but he probably may have been created by Rob Liefeld. Oh yeah. Man, he
looks like a balding Wolverine that adopted Cable's MO.
So here we go.
Yep.
Here's Troll.
Yep.
Are you sure that looks like the guy from the other one?
And then
also kind of looks like Wolverine.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, but see this guy's balding, so it's clearly a different character.
Yeah, he's
full
head of hair. Other guy's balding.
He's in Youngblood. I thought so. Bartholomew J. Troll. Created by Rob Liefeld.
Yeah.
Bartholomew J. Troll.
Created.
Along
Are we seeing any similarities? Liefeld needs some naming lessons.
Right.
Oh, wow. So as soon as I saw that, I'm like, that looks just like the guy from Image, and I couldn't place exactly. So he was on Youngblood. Oh man. Anyway.
Yeah, as far as this book goes, it's, you got your MacGuffin. There's one thing that all the characters are chasing after. Everybody wants it, and their paths intersect, and it's fun. It's rock'em sock'em, and like I said, the art's amazing. So it was after he launched onto Uncanny X-Men.
Oh, okay.
Joe Med did, and he had a good run on Uncanny X-Men for a couple of years, and then he went off to do his own Image book, and then from there he went to do video games.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. Did video game design, huh? Video game designer?
Yep.
Or did the artwork anyway?
Yeah, he wasn't very good ultimately at monthly deadlines. Once he got away from Marvel editors really haranguing him, when he was doing his own book, the deadlines got the better of him.
Weird.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah. This is awesome.
But yeah, he got a
very good art.
He got a lot of credit for introducing the manga style into American mainstream comics, because it was kind of a blend of the two.
Mm-hmm. A good amalgamation. But this is the beginning of the Deadpool that we all know.
Yep.
I wonder, they kind of had him as, I don't know how big he was in New Mutants, I guess, at the time. I mean, he's huge now, so we really can't put that into context. But I wonder what Marvel was thinking about, hey, let's take this, I don't know if he was a A-level character, or B-level character, and give him his own book.
There was New Mutants, I think 98, if I remember right, was his first appearance.
Yes.
And like 97, there was a little bit of a teaser, and 98 he came in, and it was huge. And of course, 98, you had the Liefeld art, and it was that era, and
that's true.
These guys were blowing up, and so there's a lot more exposure on the character, just because of everything going on at the time as well. But he was the merc with a mouth, and he was a fun character, and he looked cool. So, I think they knew what they had. They knew that it wasn't just, because of Liefeld, but at the same time, they could do something like this because of Liefeld, because, hey, you liked him in this, this was huge. So
that's true.
He was fully exposed.
That's true. Okay. Good point. Yeah. Did you collect a lot of Deadpool back then, Al, or not? after this?
If anything X, anything.
Oh,
X,
okay.
I would snag up if I could get my hands on it. I did not have this book. A friend of mine did though. He had this mini series, and so I did read it back then. But it was through the loan program at my buddy's place.
Yeah. Hey, we all did that. Like, hey, you buy these, I'll buy these.
Yep.
Split the difference. Yep. Did that a
Right.
lot. Yeah. Yeah. Just because you had only some. Well, I was thinking, when you were a kid, you had a limited amount of money. I'm like, wait, I'm an adult and I still have a limited amount of money.
That's right.
Never mind. All right. How about this Deadpool? Ben, did you read any Deadpool? I didn't collect any Deadpool, so this is
no. I never. I mean, I knew who he was, but I never really got into it. And I was, like I said in other episodes, I between Marvel and DC, I was more of a Marvel fan than DC. However, I really got into, fell headfirst into Image when I really started collecting comics, and because, like I said, it was independent and different, and I wasn't the same as everyone else that was collecting comic books. Although everybody clearly was buying Image in the 90s, not just me.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. You're exactly. Yeah. You're not alone by any means. But as we found out today, if you read Liefeld Image stuff, you're getting Marvel characters anyway. They're just named differently. Bartholomew J. Troll.
Right. Yeah.
And without the same editorial standards.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Or time constraints. So you may or may not get the book.
Oh man. Yeah. I was talking to sidebar Matt D over at Kids in His Comics, and we were talking about Valiant Comics, and I guess they did a crossover with Image and Deathmate. Yep. And the guy from Valiant, I forgot his name, flew from New York to California and waited outside Rob Liefeld's house for him to finish the pages because he was so far behind, and he kept saying, "Oh, I'll get it to you. I'll get it to you."
That's not a surprise. That was what I think they did 4 issues of that, and the deadlines. The Image guys could not maintain deadlines.
Yes, and Valiant was real strict. Jim Shooter was real strict on deadlines, and so it was just driving them insane. So I think Liefeld did issue 5. There was six in the series. Issue 5, but issue 6 came out before issue 5 because Liefeld was so late on the deadline.
Yeah.
Wow. I was like, wow, literally standing outside your house saying, "I want the pages. Just send them out to me as you get them done, and we'll start working on them as you get them done."
Yeah, Jim Shooter's an interesting character. If you ever get a chance, read up on Jim Shooter.
Okay.
He got his first job at Marvel when he was like 14.
Yeah, that's what Matt was telling me. I was like, insane. So that's why young Al was writing into Marvel, right? And trying to...
absolutely. Yeah. Why not?
Yeah. Oh, man. All right. Last pick that I have is Rise of Apocalypse, which, by the way, Age of Apocalypse came out before this, Al. You had asked that question.
What?
I thought it came out after this, but it didn't. It came out in 95. This came out in October of 96.
Okay. You have got to go upstairs and give me this time.
Ben, your mic's on.
I know.
we could take that out later.
Go.
But yeah, so this came out after Age of Apocalypse. I thought it came out before as well, but it did not. So this is
so Joe Madureira, the guy who did the Deadpool. Sorry to interrupt, but his art was so influential, and he was huge on the Age of Apocalypse books. On that, like that's really where he really hit his stride. After that, because he was so popular, and of course Marvel then said, "Hey, give us every artist that looks like." That can draw like that, and so you'll notice a lot of Joe Mad influence in this art right here, just because of that.
Kind of the long face, the muscles,
more cartoonish, exaggerated, almost like manga eyes, and
So this is the origin story of Apocalypse. Yeah, right here on the left, the Tut, the very long kind of face, just. Yeah, here's Osmandius in the back. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, just very exaggerated features. And so who doesn't like a good origin story? Everybody wants to know where the villain comes from, because he showed up in X Factor number 5, and evidently they didn't. I didn't go back and read it, so evidently they didn't give much of a backstory on it. But this is written by Terry Kavanagh, and then Adam Polina did the pencils. He did a lot of work in the mid 90s with Marvel, a lot of work, and then went to Dark Horse, and now he's with Valiant. So Apocalypse born about 5,000 years before his first appearance in Egypt. He gets the villagers think he's a freak of nature, and they try to get rid of him, but these warriors in the desert called Sandstormers raid the village right before they're getting ready to get rid of him, and he gets adopted by the leader called Baal, and he's the leader of the roaming raiders, and gives Apocalypse the name in Sabanur, meaning the morning light. So that's where his origin story takes place. The reason, now, you were an X Factor fan, weren't you, Al?
I was, yeah.
So did you get the first appearance of Apocalypse, or do you remember if?
No, I didn't. I wasn't on X Factor yet when Apocalypse.
Yeah, okay.
I remember like later in the run, Apocalypse was a villain that would pop up.
Sure. Yeah, because I guess you were collecting about issue 70 or 60, something like that.
I got onto X Factor, I think in like the 50s or 60s is when I jumped on it. Yeah.
Okay. So he showed up in issue 5. So fun story. While writing the first 5 issues of X Factor, Bob Layton dropped hints of a new villain showing up in X Factor, and Layton intended to reveal the character to be the Daredevil villain Owl. I don't know a lot of Daredevil, but evidently he's one of the villains there. But Layton left Marvel after writing the first 4 issues and was replaced by Louise Simonson.
Mm-hmm.
So the editor, Bob Harris, said that the character arose because they needed a villain, because they had teased a villain. And so Louise Simonson said, okay, you got it. So he came on board, and Bob said, you need to come up with a villain. And Louise Simonson said, I wanted a villain on the magnitude of like Magneto. I want a big A-class villain. And that's how he came up with Apocalypse. So if Bob Layton, if Bob Layton hadn't left, Louise would have not have come up with Apocalypse. So just by chance.
Interesting.
So was
just by accident.
I didn't watch the X-Men Apocalypse movie. Did they
not missing much?
Did they pull from this book for that movie, or
they just had he was in Egypt? I don't remember. I watched it kind of passively. Maybe Ben, maybe you paid attention more, but I don't remember them mentioning this Crimson. Let's see, what were they called? The Sandstormers, and Baal as the leader.
In the movie, they made him more. I mean, they've had him start out in Egypt, and he was more worshipped as a god in the Apocalypse movie, and it's because he's a mutant that can survive and transfers consciousness and all this stuff. But they didn't introduce any. I mean, they kind of did. They had a faction of people that didn't like Apocalypse, so in the beginning of the movie, they tried to kill him, and it didn't work, and that's why he was asleep until recently. But they didn't show all these guys in red and stuff like that. And so it was more just they're like, oh, he's old and from Egypt, and now here's the rest of this crappy movie.
They did call him in Sabanur. They did. That was about it. That's probably the only reference. But they kind of show Apocalypse growing up and becoming a teenager, finding out his powers.
As you're going through these images, man, the 90s colors.
Yeah.
We just learned how to do gradients, so there's going to be gradients everywhere.
Explain what a gradient is, Al.
Gradient is when you go from one shade to another, and light to dark, like they have that grayscale in there, I guess. The transition from one bit. So you'll notice, like in the sky on this image, how down in the left-hand corner it's dark, and then it goes to gradually fades up to the light. And in it, they do that on every muscle and on every face and on every cheekbone and on every sword. And it's like any effect. It's less is more.
Less is
They
more.
Right.
They just found digital coloring
Yeah.
in this era. So they leaned into it hard.
Yeah, you're right. This has been 96, so it would have been the beginning of digital art. This is probably all digital. I assume none of it's hand drawn.
It's all hand drawn, but the coloring is all digital.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Yeah, it's a fun story because I like an origin story, so I was kind of curious what is the origin of Apocalypse, and he learned the survival of the fittest from that tribe that he was in, the Sandstormers. That's where the survival of the fittest concept came from. And there's also a appearance by Kang the Conqueror, who time travels with the Fantastic Four. So you had the Fantastic Four show up in this one towards the end,
Nice.
which was a kind of cool little thing. And Kang the Conqueror does some time travel with them. But eventually, of course, Apocalypse takes over. He's rejected by the Queen of Egypt, and he kind of shows up at her deathbed and says, you shouldn't have rejected me. I was the more powerful one. You kind of rubs it in her face, of course, that you chose your father over me. I was the one that, I'm the one that's going to run the place, not you. So it's kind of a rub. I'll see if I can find the final frame. I don't know. Did you guys read this at all when it came out?
No, I've never even heard of this.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
no, I don't think this even existed until you brought it up.
Yeah, this
I thought Age of Apocalypse was the first and only, well, not only appearance, but was like the main Apocalypse story, and then he just kind of popped up every now and then here and there.
Yeah, I happened to see this, I think, in a magazine, probably Wizard, I bet you. And I was like, oh, I'm going to pick that up when it comes out. So, and you can get this in trade.
Jesse's 100% right about missing the boat on calling it Apocalypse Now.
Yeah. They really slept on this. Yeah. So it's a good one. You
Charlie Sheen.
Yeah. He turns into Charlie. He shapeshifts into Charlie Sheen.
Or you could do a whole series. Like you could do a sequel, Apocalypse Then.
Apocalypse Then.
Apocalypse Then and Apocalypse Now.
That's right.
So there's some, I don't remember exactly, but there's the King Tut, or the Tut, the Pharaoh of Egypt, has some MacGuffin, and of course Apocalypse thwarts him and discovers all his powers, and it's a fun story. So I highly recommend it, especially if you're a fan of Apocalypse. You get some backstory on this and his background and where he came from. But anyway,
does it get into having the four horsemen, or just his rise to power?
Just his rise to power. I don't recall them talking anything about the four horsemen in this one, but they really push on he's rejected by society because he's blue with blue lips, and everybody fears him because he's strange looking. And so they push feel sorry for him because he keeps getting rejected by everybody, and that's why he lashes out. So
do you think Marvel could ever make a character that's a different color than blue, but then is accepted, just to really rub it in all the blue characters' faces?
Him and Nightcrawler?
Well, is it because Nightcrawler, Beast, Mystique, Apocalypse, they all go through I'm blue and nobody likes me. So I'd like to see Marvel create like a yellow character that's just like bright fluorescent yellow, and everyone in the world just like, hey dude, what's up? Hey, you want to come play ping pong? And like Beast and Mystique are like, what the? He's bright yellow. They're like, yeah, he's all right.
Yeah,
it's funny too,
we just don't like blue.
The Thing also had that exact same storyline. I'm an orange rock guy. Nobody likes me. I'm an outcast from the world. And
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So like I said, I'd love to see like where they make one where there's like the exact same thing, but the society's just like, yeah, sure, you're all right.
We cool. Like yellow.
We don't like blue. That color.
Yeah. Blue is a sad color. We like yellow. It's a happy color.
Right. We're all xenophobic towards blue, but yellow's great.
Yeah. See, Jesse, X Smurfs. So yeah, the Smurfs could be X-Men.
Yes.
Oh man. So yeah, I check out Rise of Apocalypse. You can get it on trade. It's on Amazon. I think you can get it for like $10. It's not too expensive, and check it out. Or if you want to go find the originals. So Ben, I think I checked on this one. So the cover price, I think these were $2.95, and they're only up $4. So your Sabretooth one better value than Rise of Apocalypse.
Sometimes you just got to do your research and make the right call when you're doing investments like this. Because if I'd gone Apocalypse, I would have been out $1 here.
That was pretty shrewd on the part of 13-year-old Ben there.
That's right.
Yeah. So way better investment opportunity to get the Sabretooth limited series.
Yeah.
Than Rise of Apocalypse.
This beats the hell out of the junior Buffett investing club.
Right. Who needs to invest in like energy companies and banks and tradable commodities? No, I got 4 books right here, $20 in my pocket if I wanted it
right now.
Portfolio,
the Ben Crane investment portfolio.
Right.
Oh man. All right. Well, hey, that's all I got. So I think we're going to sign off, guys. It's fun talking about limited issues. So we will let you go. Thanks everybody in the chat and everybody listening later. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you later.
Thanks, guys.
See ya.
Thanks.